What if you could go back to 1848 and be at the beginning of the California gold rush? You could find gold easily, right? Well, there's a way to do something like that today. There's a way to find virgin gravel that has never been prospected before. I'm talking about gravel that is virtually on the surface, but it exists only in a very special type of place. That place is what I call a Goldilocks hole. A Goldilocks hole has very specific qualities. First, it's a hole in rock that is not too shallow and it's not too deep. It is in or very near a stream or river. And thirdly, and very importantly, it is high above the normal level of the water in the river. Finding virgin gravel in Goldilocks holes is dependent on a couple of things. First, there has to have been big floods on the river you are prospecting. Floods are what lift the gravel high enough to be deposited in the holes which are high above the normal level of the water. The biggest floods, of course, happened before dams were built. Therefore, any gravel in a Goldilocks hole must have been deposited at least 80 years ago, and likely much earlier. For example, the biggest flood in the recorded history of California occurred in 1862. So gravel in holes located really high could have been from that flood. Secondly, you of course have to find the holes that still have gravel in them. Some Goldilocks holes will already have been cleaned out by miners. Fortunately, many Goldilocks holes have been overlooked by prospectors because most people think it is more logical to look for gold at the base of rocks, not at the top of rocks. Here's a tip to help narrow the search for holes that you can prospect. Use Google Earth. Holes in bedrock that may be Goldilocks holes can sometimes be seen in Google Earth images.
Over on the shore, he's going to set up camp there, and he's going to be the one doing the classifying of the gravel. And what I'm going to do is get across this narrow stretch of the river right here. And then once I'm across, I'll get up on this big rock and start to collect the gravel. It's perched up towards the top of this rock. But first, I have to get over the creek. I'm going to go up on the rock here in a minute, and when we do so, I've got some special tools that were made just for this particular operation in order to get down in the holes. Down in the Goldilocks holes, they're so deep that we need some extension tools like this. We're going to try this one, and we're going to try this one here, and I've got a little siphon pump right here to get the fine material out of the very bottom of the hole. So hopefully these tools will help us clean out all the gravel and the sand that are in these Goldilocks holes. Well, I'm up on top of the rock now. You can see that I'm fairly high compared to the level of the water. There's my bucket over there that I'm going to collect the gravel in. Now right behind Cody's head is another interesting hole. Let me move over here and you take a look at it. Again, it's relatively large and certainly very deep. And over here, there's another big basin. Now, certainly this was created by erosion from the river. I think that would be an especially nice place if you can look down there. And let me just zero in a little bit. You can see some gravel and there's a lot of sand in there. That would be a great place to dig up a bunch of sand and gravel and pan. That could have some nice concentrate in there. Now this hole has got to be at least 10 feet above the level of the river right now. So any gravel that was deposited in this hole must have occurred in a very large flood. Okay, we're at one of the Goldilocks holes right now, and as you can see, I've just brought up some rather large rocks from the bottom of the hole. The hole is quite deep, and You can tell from the size of these rocks that there had to be quite a flood in order to bring rocks this size up this high and deposit them in this hole. So anyhow, the scooping tool works. Now it's just a question of whether or not we can get down through all these big rocks and get down to the sand and the gravel and the bedrock where hopefully the gold is.